Hi, everybody. Welcome to our episode. The episode today for Rethink Life, and we're excited to be here. So, what I want to start with is we are sponsored by the Institute of Metaphysical Science, established in 1959 as the Margaret Laird Foundation, researching, exploring, living, and teaching the science of being and the causal nature of consciousness. You can find out more information at www.scientificmetaphysics.org. Today's episode is based on the May-June 1967 Laird letter. Those are available. You can order the whole year of 1967 if you'd like from our website. And this episode is called The Medium is the Message. So that is what we'll be talking about today. Welcome, Betty. How are you today?
I'm fine. Thank
Excellent. Is there anything you want to say to set this up in any way for today? Because I do have a quote from Albert Einstein, but do you want to just set up?
Well, Mrs. Laird, when she read Marshall McLuhan's book many years back, let's see, his book was called Understanding Media, the Extensions of Man. And back then is when she wrote this Laird letter. And she said, the world I walk through is reality, the way I see it. So we're always walking through the world as we see it, not as it is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the good news and the bad news all wrapped up in one statement there, because when something doesn't please me, I only have to look to myself for what is it I'm believing about myself that has me unhappy.
Right.
When I discover what that is, things shift. And the joy of discovering that process is that I'm my own all. I don't have to rely on anybody or anything external to my consciousness.
Right.
Ever. But I do it all the time. And actually, it isn't possible for me to rely on something else, but it's possible that in my self-living, I don't place the responsibility where it belongs. I place it out there as if that thing over there made me unhappy or made me joyous. And so I set myself up for the fall.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm always in charge of Betty.
Mm-hmm.
And I make a big boo-boo if I think I'm in charge of somebody else.
Yeah.
So in minding my business, if I can look at that from the standpoint of this statement that Mrs. Laird has written, the world I walk through, I'm experiencing and living the way I am.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like looking in the mirror at me, at who I think I am and what I think I am and where I think I am, all that. And the minute I think that that is attached to Betty, I've lost my vision.
Yeah.
Because there is a divinity that shapes our ends. And it's that divinity that's in charge.
Yeah.
Betty doesn't have the capacity to run the show.
Right.
But she never remembers that, you know. So it looks like it.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. So so we can get started, but that's where we're going with it.
Okay, very good. All right. So first is the world I walk through is reality the way I see it.
Yeah, that's what I've just been talking about.
Yep, exactly. And that's the crux of it. And Albert Einstein has a quote, "The world that we have made as a result of the level of thinking that we have done thus far creates problems that we cannot solve at the same level of thinking at which we created them." And that's Albert Einstein.
Yeah, and that's a terrific statement. You know, just consider that if you can't solve the problem at the level at which the problem occurred, what's the open door? It's on the brink of the unknown because you're already performing everything you know.
Yep.
So here you've got wide open, unlimited, unrestricted possibility.
Yeah.
And all you have to do is step into it. And stepping into it isn't nearly as complicated as it sounds. It isn't like learning to swim or something, you know?
Mhm.
Stepping into it is really an expression of your willingness to not know.
Right.
If, and I'm talking now pretty much on the human level, Betty stepping into it is really a willingness to not have Betty in charge.
Yep.
Your willingness to say, yeah, she's here, but there's something else here too.
Yeah.
So I'm always not knowing. And the value of not knowing is I'm not limited. I'm not circumscribed into something that happened yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
It's without boundary.
Right.
So I'm living a life without boundary, calling it Betty.
Right. Yep.
And on it goes.
Yes. So if you're liking this conversation, we love all the thumbs up and the hearts on Facebook. If you are watching on YouTube, you can, we would love it if you subscribe to our channel. And you can go to scientificmetaphysics.org/YouTube in order to see it on the YouTube or to watch any of our past episodes very easily as well. So moving into our first quote, again, from the May-June 1967 layered letter. Oops. So let's see. In the May-June 1967 layered letter on the first page there, Mrs. Laird said, "The phrase, 'I consciously am,' and the words of Mary Baker Eddy, 'there is but one ego,' have the same meaning."
Yeah, that's a fun one to play with. I consciously am. There is but one ego. Oh, I'm all I've got.
Yep.
There ain't no other.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the thing about that is not scary. It's like it's all the answers are right here, right now.
Yeah.
Oh boy. And then be a listening for what that looks like. And a
Right.
willingness to keep stepping in and stepping in and stepping in. And the thing about right now, we think right now might be an infinite amount of space or time. Right now is that. It's gone.
Yeah.
Right now, right now, right now, right now. And so it's always a new beginning. Every
Yeah.
instant is the world made new.
Right.
So I don't have to be shut down by an upset or a disappointment. I don't have to be jumping up and down because the world's going to look better, because it won't look better. It will
Right.
just look different.
Right.
You know, the thing we're working with is not to make everything better, but to see that in the one thing going on, perfection right now is the ground of being.
Mm-hmm.
And it can look like a million things. And
Right.
we don't really care what it looks like, but we can relax in the perfection that is presencing right now,
Right.
seen or unseen.
Right.
Okay.
Yes. Now, if we look at Science and Health on page 239, on line 20 and 21, what we see is the objects we pursue and the spirit we manifest reveal our standpoint and show what we are winning.
Yeah. What am I winning?
Your point of view?
What am I winning? Do you think about that? It says the objects we pursue and the spirit, you know, it's like the other one that said the decisions you make determine the direction you'll go.
Right.
Well, it is. There's nothing by chance. What I go after and why I go after it and how I go after it and all that sort of thing, that's not chancy. That's all the being that's present right now
Right.
moving in the direction it sees open, willing to be open, moving on, and not arguing with or struggling with the way it looks.
Yep.
The minute I argue with it, I have made a reality of something that doesn't exist. Because
Right.
what I have as Betty is a concept, a point of view of perfection, may not even be close to what's real.
Right.
It's my point of view. And if I'm stuck with it, then it's, oh dear, what am I going to do now? Awful stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But if I can let it go and say, wait a minute, all is infinite mind, no beginning, no end, no measureless, inexhaustible,
Right.
abundant, on we go.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Now, if anybody has a comment, oh, I see 2 comments. Here we go. Sandy Jackson says, oops, I got to go fix that so I'm not showing anything. Okay, so Sandy Jackson says, perfection now,
Right on.
and whether I know it or not.
Yep.
Absolutely. Very
What
good.
happens if I know it? And what happens if I don't know it?
Good question.
Sandy?
We'll see if she puts something else in. So
Okay.
we'll come back to that. Hold that
All
thought. All right. And then we'll look at mind as the athlete on page 124 in the same way of saying, I consciously am, or the words of Mary Baker Eddy, there is but one ego, that has the same meaning. And mind as the athlete on page 124, Betty, you said it like this: consciousness as cause out of its self-awareness sources and constitutes all that exists or seems to exist.
Yeah. All of it is consciousness fundamentally present.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay, I think we've got Sandy, nothing. So that's her answer.
Oh, that's her answer?
Whether I know it or not.
Well, it's no thing, that's for sure.
Right. And then perfection is all there.
Yeah. And do I know what that looks like? Looks like whatever's showing up.
Right.
The best language I've got.
Right.
I'm walking the path of perfection the best way I can see it, because nothing else exists. The rest of it's all made up stuff. But reality itself present is perfection.
Yep.
So on we go. Yeah.
All right.
Great.
Very good. We've got another. And she says, doesn't matter, whatever I need to wake me up.
There you go. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you for all that engagement. That's awesome. All right. So now we're moving on to the next quote on page 3 of that May-June 67 letter. Mrs. Laird wrote, when you're able to hear the message of your divinity, all is right, you will respond to the words, the medium, by going with what seems to be happening instead of struggling.
Yeah, that's really important. We human beings, when I say we, human beings tend to think that they have something they have to figure out, and they have to make it fit their concept of how it ought to be.
Right.
And they have to justify it and prove it and live with it.
Yeah.
And the only time that they get rid of it is when they live with it because they don't like it. You live with it a few minutes, you say, oh, I don't like that. It should be this way. It should be that way. That is the saving grace that you have, to let it go. Oh, you don't like it? Good. Let it go. Keep going.
Right.
There's more. There's always more.
Right.
And it's abundantly so. And the time you're home free is not when the picture pleases you, but when you have no concern at all about the picture.
Right.
Because perfection is what's present.
Right.
And then you leave the rest of it alone and you're off running.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Now, in Science and Health on page 249, Mrs. Laird says, or Miss actually, Mary Baker Eddy says it like this: man is the reflection of soul. There's a typo in there. He is the direct opposite of material sensation, and there is but one ego.
Yeah.
So,
That little sentence at the bottom of page 249 is a key thing to remember when you're working with metaphysics. There is but one ego. There's only one. So the world I walks through me. There's nobody out there. And I am the world I walk through.
Yeah.
And it shifts all the time by self-discovery.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very good. And I think there's a certain amount of just willingness to have the picture be exactly the way it is.
Right.
Without fussing. So no
Yeah,
matter
just leaving the picture alone.
No matter if the news is good or bad or shocking or whatever, allow the picture to be and walk right on.
Yeah.
Got it. So in Mind is the Athlete, on page 54, Betty, you've said it like this: how do I recognize consciousness? I'm aware of being conscious. Self-consciousness is not visible. Knowing that I am is evidence that I am.
Yeah. And it is the knowing that I am that has me be evident. So it's a self-discovering presence.
Right. So going back to what Mrs. Laird said on page 3, when you're able to hear the message of your divinity, all is right. You will respond to the words, the medium, by going with what seems to be happening instead of struggling.
Yeah, because what I'm generating is the happening called me living my life.
Yeah.
And
right.
So if that is the showing up of my self-discovering, it's valuable for me to take a look and see its purpose and its presence. And if I don't like it, that is a sure message that I have no idea who I am. You know, man, the reflection of God's being, is the powerhouse. Any limitation is not legitimate. I make it up as Betty, and then I think I'm a smart cookie. It doesn't have that going for it. Always, 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 man is the action of the God idea. So this is all God going on, being himself being, and I should struggle with it. What could I do to fix that?
Right.
I'm better off to leave it alone and keep walking on, enjoying it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So then we move into the third quote from the letter. And there's a lot here, so the type is small, but it's on page 3. How and at what level of your self-learning did you realize that you, and only you, created your world? When I recognized fault-finding as my necessary defense against fact-finding, when I learned myself to be all that I am, I saw my fellow man as being all he or she is.
Yep. So I could leave it alone. Yep.
And again, I apologize for the typos. I'm seeing them now that we're bringing them up.
I'm sorry. I
And
probably
so,
didn't correct him.
and
Anyway.
then in Science and Health, Mary Baker Eddy on 252 says it this way: Spirit saith I am, Spirit. Man whose senses are spiritual is my likeness. He reflects the infinite understanding, for I am infinity.
Yeah. Spirit saith, I am spirit. Man can't say that. So it's source stating itself that shows up as my being. Think about that.
Right.
it's spirit, it's the God idea, it's mind, principle, soul, all of that, saying, I consciously am. And that statement looks like man.
Yep.
So it's literally the action of the God idea
Right.
that is the source and condition of all that exists and seems to exist.
Right. Sandy Jackson has another comment. I'm loving this, Sandy, who says, the one who lives the idea that consciousness is life makes no attempt to transcend his world image or to change it. And that's from January 1954.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very nice. Thank you, Sandy.
All right. So anything more on that? Spirit saith, I am spirit.
Yep.
Okay.
You know, there is this kind of undetected line going between being Betty and being.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that makes the difference is what shifts your world. When Betty's being Betty, nothing much moves.
Right.
When Betty's absent from Betty and present with being, things shift, things move. And that's how you know. You generate the world that communicates with you. Just let me rely on something that has to do with Betty, and I'm going to be really unhappy because it doesn't have any results that please me.
Right.
Doesn't perform in the way I think is necessary.
Right.
And then I figure out Betty thinks she has ideas. She thinks she's a thinker. She'd like to run it her way. And if she did, too bad.
Right.
Because the minute Betty can let Betty alone, like get lost, go sit over in the corner in the chair and just let things be, pretty soon ideas just click along, things shift.
Right.
And I'm always amazed. The answer shows up.
Yeah.
And it's been doing that for me for a long, long time.
Yeah.
I have lots of evidence that when Betty gets lost, the world looks better.
Right.
You can almost say amen to that.
Yeah, exactly. Get out of your own way.
That's right.
All right. And then in your book, Mind is the Athlete, on page 124, 125, the way you say this is, body is the visible language generated from the action of my non-visible being. Life is not contained in the body. Life is the presencing that has the body appear.
Yep. You can almost read it again. That's exactly what it means. Body is the language generated.
Mm-hmm.
So life or truth or love is not generated by the body. Betty wouldn't know how to be loving. She likes to make a lot of pretense in that direction. But the thing that goes home, looking like Betty being loving, has the occurrence when Betty gives it no thought at all.
Mm-hmm.
It isn't that this thing won't do something. It's always doing something.
Right.
But the doing is going to be the identification language of reality when Betty just leaves it alone, and being is the action present.
Right.
Acknowledged and recognized.
Yeah.
So it's like an infinite relationship of me with myself.
Right.
As what I look like or what I am.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. Okay. Anything else on the episode? If you have any comments, any questions, please put those into the chat, into your comments field. We'll answer those. So let's look. One came right in. Again, Sandy Jackson, loving this. Like the sun is always shining, so the answer is always present. The question answer, like the seller buyer, is expressing all is one.
Wonderful, Sandy. Right on.
And I think with that, we shall end this episode. We will see you here next week, same time, 7 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Pacific, for our next episode. And we will be reviewing, or actually, we're going to be starting the exploration of Margaret Laird's pamphlet called Personal Concept. So that, again, is available on our website. And that website is scientificmetaphysics.org. So if you would like to go check out, there's other things, there's pamphlets, there's materials, whatever you might need, please go check out the website. And we look forward to seeing you next episode.
Thank you.